Not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Wow, that's a new screen. Wait a minute. Okay. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's a Monday. And I guess what are we going to do? The introduction music was actually what didn't break my eardrums, so you're out here. So I got to blame that on you because it's because you're out here, you know what, your eardrum's broken. So might as well blame you. We get blamed for everything anyway. So.
Hey, it's always good to be blamed for something, you know?
That's right. Look, you don't get blamed for something, it means you did nothing.
I know, exactly.
That's the key. So I guess the big news is we had a fire this weekend.
Yes, we did.
In the city of Fall River, and we lost another public building that the city owned that had a purchase and sales agreement, and they didn't have the presence of forethought to put electricity in there and have the fire alarm system working in order. So I guess they just said, well, let's let this building. I mean, the timing of this, and I believe the word out is that it may be arson, and if that's the case, this brings up a lot of questions. Being someone who did this for a long time, it would bring up questions when there's a purchase and sales agreement pending, and then all of a sudden a building burns down. That's been there for years, basically, untouched, and so I mean, the key point is the bottom line again. Business as usual in Fall River. They had a purchase and sales agreement on this building. They could have made a little bit of money, and now they're going to make less money if they make any money, because now the building is basically useless. They're going to probably have to raise the entire building and make it into a parking lot. And so whoever signed a purchase and sales agreement is going to look to get a deal. And now we have to continue on our merry way of incompetence and of excuses, because I guess the mayor's been making some really let me put it this way, abstract. He's drawn some abstract conclusions about this thing. So
it's very interesting though, Chip, because District Chief Doug Sullivan said that he had to pull the men out of there after 15 minutes because the building had been so engulfed and involved. It went from a 2 to a 4 to a general alarm, and we had to call in mutual aid from other cities and towns. I guess the SAFER grant didn't help too much. But we know that we do have to call for mutual aid if we have big fires, and this could have been a big fire. You were involved in the Notre Dame fire. This fire happened in a similar area. I don't think that it would have ever been as bad as the Notre Dame fire, but big fires can be a hazard. And
yeah, it's a large building, but it's kind of set apart from everything else. It's kind of set back from the street, and the exposures are not quite as close, and of course you don't have the size. The building is nowhere near the size of Notre Dame
exactly.
Church. But it's a larger building,
yes,
which constitutes a greater hazard, and obviously that's an issue.
And I'm just happy that no firefighters were injured in this event. But I think as you said, city buildings, city school buildings especially, all have hardwired alarm systems. They ring at the signal station. I may be wrong on that. You would know that.
No, they do, but obviously they don't do if they don't have electricity. So, and it's no longer an active school, and I don't know what the city policy is. It would seem to me that it would be an intelligent thing if you want to protect the building, that you would at least leave the fire alarm system on. It's not like you're going to pay $1 billion because you're going to have no other electricity working except the fire alarm. And I don't know, maybe it's me, but if I had a property I would want to protect it so I could maximize how much money I could get for it. So it would stand to reason that I would spend that little, to me it's an insignificant amount when we think about how much money we're spending on obsolete computer systems.
I know.
And barrels that we're not going to use. So heaven forbid we pay about $12 a month for electricity to protect the building.
But you know, it's interesting because the Duval School, which was sold to the Flint Neighborhood Association for a community center, when the Flint Neighborhood Community Center acquired the building, they put the power on in that building. And not too long after the power went on, the fire department responded to a call, and nobody had called them. The fire alarm system did. There was a short in the panel, and that caused the fire alarm to fire, for the lack of a better expression. But even they had a working fire alarm system. But again, when they acquired the building, there was no electricity. But Sam did say, to our chagrin, the building is fully insured by the city. They have insurance on it. Now, is this the same type of insurance that we have on the Westall
Does that
School?
make him a suspect? Because when we used to do arson investigations, the first suspect is, if the building is insured heavily, that the first suspect is always the owner.
But the interesting thing is that, is this the same insurance company that insured the Westall School that suffered damage and they can't do anything with because they can't get the money from the insurance company? So it's going to be interesting to see. But amazingly enough, they're already saying that the building needs to be raised, and there was a purchase and sales agreement in place since 2014. Now, now I know that when I take out a purchase and sales agreement on a property, we say it must be completed by 30 days, 45 days.
Yeah, but that's in an actual business environment, not government. That's not government,
Well, I know that on the Flint Neighborhood Association's acquisition of the building, it took them forever to get their deed. And when this fire happened, my phone was ringing off the hook. And, I wanted to take it and wrap it around Carlos's neck because he was worth 45 minutes on the phone with Carlos on who owns the building. And it was rather interesting because, you got to go through you got to go through the assessor's pages, you got to go through the registry of deeds, and you're looking. And the problem is that building is not listed online for a deed. You have to go down to the registry of deeds and look at the deed. They didn't go that far back. I mean, we're talking 1895. So they didn't have microfiche back then.
Kind of like the sewerage system in some parts of the city. The city doesn't know where the sewer lines go.
Right. But, it just gets to be very interesting when you look at this and look at the mess that this is all in. And I thought it was funny because I called you just as it was breaking out, and you're like, I can't see it out my window. I can see right over there. So, and you can smell fire from a mile away. Yeah, So.
Yeah. Well, the wind was blowing a little bit the opposite way. Later on, when I went down Brayton Avenue extension, I could smell the burnt wood and stuff. But obviously, I don't know the extent of the fire that they found, and there was reports that they heard someone there, but it gets back to the fundamental thing about protecting property. I mean, especially property that you have a purchase and sales agreement on. I mean, they were going to get rid of this property, I mean, and so it would behoove them to ensure that and for the safety of the people in the neighborhood. As you said, it's a larger building. The exposure hazard isn't as great there because of the way it's set, in kind of in the center of a lot, and there's some open space there where you could get apparatus and a water curtain, and it's not like a foot and a half like some of these 3-deckers are,
right,
or like Notre Dame was directly across the street from 6-family houses, 2 blocks of 6-family houses. But radiated heat goes a long way. There's records of radiated heat from larger fires such as Notre Dame igniting things almost a mile away. So, that heat travels a long way, radiated and convected heats. But, we get back to the city again and the way it does business. It's like, it looks like they don't have enough leadership to lead a one-man parade. It's incredible because, everything they do, they buy obsolete computer systems, as I said before. They're buying barrels when we may be going to private trash collection. They have buildings with purchase and sales agreements with that nobody figured out where maybe we should kind of like really take a look at this building and protect it. And not only that, even if there wasn't a purchase and sales agreement, how about the people in the neighborhood? It's bad enough when private owners don't maintain their buildings. As a matter of fact, there's an ordinance and there's a fire code about people creating fire hazards. The abutters can file a complaint. So, I mean, where is the burden of the city to protect the residents of that area? And that's my neighborhood.
Well, we don't have a lawyer that works. So, I mean, he's only there 18 and a half hours a day. Come on, a week. Come on, 18 and a half hours. He doesn't have time. He has complaints piling up on his desk that he can't get to because he has no time.
Well, what I'm really interested in is I'm going to listen. I want to hear the pile of BS that comes out now. It's a campaign season. We're getting very, very close to the primary. And with that, everybody get out and vote. Let's have the best turnout we've ever had in
No question
100
about it.
years in the primaries. Let's show these people that we're interested. But I'm just interested to see how they're going to spin this. I guess Secret Sam is having a meeting this morning with the people who have the purchase and sales, and I know what they're going to say. Aha! Give us even a better deal, And
We'll give you $1.
and I guess they're going to look at how much money they're going to get from the insurance company. So I hate to say this, Sam, but if I was still on duty and I was the chief, you'd be the first suspect. The city, how much insurance do you have on this, Mr. Mayor? Because, as I said, that's always the first suspect in the chain. Yeah. So, and I did hear, and obviously I haven't seen the final report. I guess it's either suspicious or arson. I guess I did hear someone say that there was accelerants used. And, realistically, you got to kind of consider that because kind of hard for a building to burn down that doesn't have electricity or heat. So the heating system couldn't have blown up. And, unless it was rats playing with matches or pigeons carrying cigarettes into the building, lit cigarettes, there's no real natural source of ignition. So it is going to be a consideration. But, the fact is that, as I said, we get back to the core. And the bottom line of this is just another example of inefficiency, incompetence, mismanagement, and a total lack of consideration for the people of this city. Look what they've done to our fire department. Look what they've done to the police department. Look what they do to essential services while they continue to spend money they don't have. Even though we've said since he got in, why don't we make public safety a priority? Why don't our tax dollars go to keep firefighters on the job like they used to, and police officers? No, let's subsidize them with grants, and let's spend the money on pay raises and layer upon layer of consultants and assistants for people who can't do their job. And this is what troubles me. It's like, if you're at least trying to fix the problem, I can live with that. You may be slower than I'd like, but it's like a manufacturing company that makes widgets, and you need so many employees to make the widgets. What we're doing is we're laying off all the people that make the widgets, and we're hiring more people to supervise the widget makers. Then we go out of business because we can't produce enough widgets. Well, the city of Fall River is full of people, and those people deserve, to have their safety and their essential services become a priority item in this community, not the last thing you put your money in. Because here we are again. The school wasn't protected. You could have put a fire alarm system, the barrels, the computers, and all the 22 windows that have never got. And it's like, where does our money go? Here we are facing an election right after a new budget, which is BS. And we're looking at the same thing. At the last council meeting, Councilor Pereira was talking about, we got to look at what we're going to do when a SAFER grant's gone. No, we don't. We shouldn't have taken a SAFER grant. We should have taken our money and paid for the firefighters. Because we do this dance every couple of years. Because we're still using money we beg for to fund essential services. And as I said, don't tell me it can't be done, because I worked on a 300-man fire department that went down to 255 when they decided to use overtime. But I worked on a department that had almost double the amount of complement we had now, and there was not one firefighter being paid for by a grant. So what happened? What happened was they diverted the money. They diverted the money to pay fat pay raises, new positions, and Sam needs more help. But you know, it's an election. We continue to do the same thing over and over again, and it's not even an attempt. Remember, Sam, at one point in time, didn't he say they were going to talk about a reorganization to streamline government?
Yes, they did.
Whatever happened to that?
I think that's after the election.
Yeah, it's after, yeah. And you know, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, it's gotta really insult everybody's intelligence, and that's why you've really got to get out to the polls and send a message.
You know, it's just...
You've got to really send a message.
It's just amazing because the debate's coming up on the 16th at the Cuss Middle School, 6 o'clock, and everyone but Jordan Sylvia and Sam Sutta have confirmed their attendance. Why? The letters went out 10 days ago or more, and the other candidates all have confirmed that they will be attending. I had to do another follow-up over the weekend, and that's okay. It's a busy time. But when you start looking at this, people who have followed Sam since the DA's office, who could have come on board in positions in city government, have said publicly and privately, I'm going to wait to see what happens.
Well, you probably sent the invitation to the wrong person. Who did you send it to?
I sent them directly to the candidates.
Well, see, it's got to go through the chain of Sutter command. It has has to go to his special assistant, then to his special assistant, then to the chief of staff, and then to the to his campaign staff, and then it has to worm its way all the way up till it gets to the candidate. Because Sam is kind of behind all the time, because all you got to do is look at his performances at neighborhood meetings and stuff. I'm gonna wonder if he does show up at the debate, if he's gonna bring Kathy Ann Viveris, Lou Pacheco, Spike, Rob Bentleweski, or whatever, and all the rest of his cadre. Because every time you ask the mayor a question that involves something other than tennis, or what time he's going to tuck his daughter in, the answer you get is, Kathy, you want to answer that question? Lou, you want to handle that question? So apparently he's doing a lot of things except running the city. And, he's kind of a ceremonial mayor, it appears, because although, that may be a leap. I don't know. He has that private office. It's kind of like the bunker that they had over in Birch's Garden. But this, that he lives in. He doesn't go to City Hall because he's so busy that he doesn't want to be bothered by all the minions that work in City Hall. And
don't get me going on minions, because you know where those terms came from.
And the minions that live in the city.
You don't want to go in that road.
He has his own private office, and I don't know what's going on, but I kind of like I said, there was a famous bunker in. There were a few bunkers actually in the days of Germany. There was one at Garmisch. There was one in Garmisch, one in Birch's Garden, and it's
our
boy Adolf used to like hidden bunkers.
But it's interesting because minions actually is a word that was derived in Germany during the Holocaust period, and I don't want to get into the definition of what it was, but oh my God, it's so appropriate. But it's just crazy. This never stops. I want to welcome back Chief Racine. He took his desk back today And he did say that he had suffered a minor stroke. He's on medication. He had stated that a couple of years back he suffered a TIA, that's known as a transient ischemic attack, also designated as what they call a minor stroke, mini stroke. And he says it changes your view on life and it changes your perception of things. Okay, I'm just glad to see that you're back, Chief, and hopefully you'll be up and running in full force today, and you're going to do what needs to be done for Fall River as you seem to have always tried to do. Another breaking news item right now today is the Dow has taken a massive hit early on this morning with it dropping over 800 points. And all you people who have your IRAs, you better start looking at them because your interest rates are dropping. And this is because, get this, the Chinese financial market is devastated. It crashed. And we're paying for it now. And remember, China, Japan, and the Mideast own all the paper on the United States.
Yeah,
so I wonder.
That's what I was going to say. That's actually the United States. So because they, most of these countries own the United States economy. We people like to delude themselves that there's great economic power when actually, we're so far. We're kind of like the city of Fall River. The United States is so far in hock that. If when China gets a problem, and we knew this was coming a few years ago when they were talking about China beginning to lose some of its manufacturing to Africa because the labor is even cheaper over there because labor costs began to go up. And as we know, big business doesn't give two craps about workers because look at Amazon and look at Walmart, look at the things these people have done. Anybody who thinks that big business has any consideration for their employees, they're crazy because they like slave labor. But I've got to divert and say to Chief Racine, welcome back. You're back to work, so I assume you're feeling better. And I'm glad. But I also have to say hello to Neza, who came back from California. She was out there, and I'm surprised she's here. I'm surprised she's not on a movie set already. But we have to talk after the show, and I hope everything went well out there. She was talking about a television. And so we will, we're welcoming her back. It's great to have her back. And in our control room, I see a neighborhood leader, a man who is, he's very, very special because he had a meeting. The mayor called him this weekend. He's one of the few, the proud, the selected. The mayor called him, and and he's with us on Friday. So I'm going to say hello to Carlos. So, hey, how you doing in there? And so it's business as usual. It's a campaign season, and it's going to be. The old Shakespearean saying, much to do about nothing. This is going to be nothing to do about everything. So we're gonna have to spin that around and say this is what campaign season's about. Nothing to do about everything because they don't want to create any controversy. The last thing they want to do is for people to look into what they're doing. They're going to try to forget about they're going to try to bury the brown barrels and cover them with brown stuff. And the computer thing is they're going to try to speak as little as possible about all the things that they're doing. So, as we say time and time again, it's up to you people to watch, not only us, but to watch council meetings, watch board meetings, watch everything you can to educate yourself because, they very rarely give you all the information. And when they give it to you, it's normally a half-truth or their spin on what's happening. Watch these things. Watch the council meetings. Watch what's said at the council meetings. There are a lot of people that go to the council and make very good points. They're ignored by the city council, but it's good for you to learn. Educate yourself, as I've said time and time again. Don't take my word for it. Don't take CJ's word for it. I mean, if I go before the council and make a presentation, I've got facts to corroborate and data, and so does CJ. But the fact is that don't take our word for it. Research what we say, listen to what we say, and take it as, take it and investigate it and use it to get into the process. Look at what's going on in that city council, and you should probably have a a notebook with all the things that haven't been dealt with.
You need a whiteboard for that.
You need like a murder board like they have. But I think what we should all do is make a list, like a shopping list. We should all make a list of all the things that haven't been done in the city of Fall River.
Boy, you don't have enough paper for that.
Like find out what happened with the 22 windows.
Oh, yeah.
Like find out what's been done on virtually every investigation and everything about mismanagement. What's been done about correcting the treasurer's office with the numbers. How many times at the city council have numbers been erroneous, and the next meeting they're changing the numbers and changing the numbers again?
Well, it's like the economy. It changes every day.
Well, but see, this is a symptom.
Yeah.
And then these same politicians are going to come out on a campaign trail, try to stick a hot dog in your face, or shove a chow mein sandwich in front of you, and talk about how great Fall River is, and what a wonderful time we're having, and we're moving forward.
Chip, you're being negative.
No, I'm not. I'm stating a fact. It's like we're going to we're going to try to stuff a hot dog at me. I might take the hot dog, but you're going to give me the hot dog, and you're going to get a lot of questions because
that's it.
We want you people to ask these people.
It's interesting though. I don't normally tout Mark Monroe-Dion's column. I don't know if you saw it this morning, but man, he was right on the money, right on the money. And I recommend.
Once in a while he hits it.
Yeah, I recommend that everybody read that column today because he was right on the money, and he couldn't have said it better. And he called out the administration, the city council, the city in general, and said, "Why would any business want to come here?" And he pointed it out. Now,
sounds familiar, though. Haven't we been saying that for like?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, we've been talking about this for years, But this is what happens, people. Obviously, Mark Monroe-Dion's not being told that he's being negative. Or maybe he is. I don't know. But these are facts. These are absolute facts. And, when we look at Fall River, and you look at the fact that the Housing Authority, and I made a comment about this over the weekend, is opening up the application process for HCV vouchers, housing choice vouchers, which will bring in more low-income people. What part of the equation do you not understand? Low income means no disposable income, means nobody has money to spend. The more of that you bring in, the higher the taxes go, fewer jobs show up, city gets, it enters further into decay. That's where it's got to stop.
And well, let's face it. If you look at things and analyze things, let's look at who the head of the Housing Authority is. Who was the only person that was against the knocking down of the project?
Oh, I know.
The head of the new head. The new head, who has been on the public dole for a long time, was a state rep, and now has got the housing authority job and doubled his salary, thereby doubling his pension. And he is a man who loves to bring in low-income people. That's his thing. When they were Watuppa Heights, he was the only person that was fighting against it.
And interestingly enough, he was also one of the Housing Authority directors who was against the combining of the housing authorities into regional housing authorities to save money.
Save
okay?
Money. Come on. Silly you.
I know. Well, also, the mayors wouldn't have a say on who's on that housing authority board, and God forbid the mayors lose their authority to appoint some political butt kisser to a job that earns $200,000 a year or whatever it is. This is Fall River, where families get ripped off.
Well, as I said, next time they give you a hot dog, ask them 5 questions.
Yep.
Ask them what happened to the windows. Ask them what happened. Ask them why the firefighters are still working on grants rather than on using tax money to pay them. What happened to the 14 jobs they eliminated 2 fiscal years ago? Because they can't answer any of those questions. They don't want you to remember. Stay angry and
this is true.
Vote. Let's have the best turnout in history.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great day. And remember, keep asking those questions.